Thank you, everybody, for coming. I wanted to remember my son with this opening waltz, which was played at his celebration of life with his pictures, and this music is very special to my heart. So I would like to start with Alex's father talking and saying a couple words about Alex and how he feels and how our year was. Rob?
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex's father. First, I want to thank everyone here tonight and all who have supported me and Alex's family through this difficult year. Today is 1 year memorial of my son Alex's tragic death. It has been the most painful year I have ever experienced in my life. And no parent should ever go through this. My broken heart is not repairable. God gave me the most precious gift, my son Alex, and a careless driver had taken this most precious gift from me. This tragic accident was preventable by simply following the rules of the road. They are there for a reason, to protect us and to save life. Driving is a privilege, so I am asking everyone here today to please pay attention to the road when operating a vehicle. A precious life could be saved. The driver who struck my son was not even charged with a felony. Instead, he was charged with a careless driving resulting in death, which is a misdemeanor in the state of Colorado. This man will serve a maximum of 1 year in a county jail with work release for this horrific crime. Why in the state of Colorado is this only a misdemeanor? A crime that resulted in death of my son? A death should be a felony. There is no coming back from that. I don't want another parent to go through this, knowing that their son is dead and the person that caused it was charged with so little. Stand up for Alex and help us work to change this law. When you look at the photo of Alex displayed on the Candlelight Vigil, it recollects me how Alex's bright future was taken all of a sudden away, as Alex looks so happy with Alcatraz Island in the background. This photo also reminds me of when I was on a high school field trip going to an Alcatraz island. Alex and I walked the same path until his life was taken away from us. Again, God's most precious gift was taken away so unexpectedly, and there is only a hope that when it's time for me to rest my head, I will see Alex again. I will always love and remember him, my son Alex. His spirit is always with me, and the little signs I see remind me of Alex. Thank you guys again for being here and supporting everybody, entire family and Alex. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I was asked many times, how was this year for me? The year was tough. I'm not going to lie. And more than anything, I wanted to crawl in a hole and cry myself to sleep, or worse. But at that one point, I realized that I'm tired of being miserable. I'm very tired of being miserable. During this year, I met some wonderful people who were standing by my side since the day one. I met wonderful friends such like Deborah Takahara, the Public Information Director for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I met Phil Harding, my wonderful attorney, who I'm proud to call my friend. I met Sheriff Weekly, who was by my side since day one. I'm so thankful for this support. I also met some new people in my life who will start fighting for a change. I met Terry Vogel, who lost her husband to a crush. I met Michael White, Magnus's White father, who lost his life in a crush. I met Josh Stewart, who lost his son to a crush. Tomorrow I will be at the sentencing for Ollie Stratton, who lost his life to the crush. We all will get together and we will fight for change. I put a slogan for this vigil. I named it, "The change begins with us." Why the change begins with us? 1 year ago, I promised you during the vigil that I will fight for change, that I will try to do as much as possibly can to make the law tougher. And today I wanted to tell you that I'm proud to live in Douglas County, because who are my strong supporters? The strongest supporters I have are people elected by you. It's Sheriff Weekly. My strong supporter is Senator John Carson. My strong supporter is George Brockler, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. All people were elected by you. It means that they represent you, they hear our voice. So what I've done so far, it's not my achievement, it's yours guys' achievement. You gave all the tools for us to success. So I cross my fingers that the change will begin with us, with Douglas County. And we will change something for the state of Colorado. And I will die on this hill. I mean, I will never stop fighting, because there is always something to fight for. And I know it's worthy cause, that my son's death is not going to be lost in vain. Unfortunately, I don't see the faces right now, so I will keep it as an open mic I want to introduce you to Senator Carson, then Sheriff Weekly will talk, Michael White, and whoever wants to speak after that, it's all welcome. Thank you.
Just over this hill, Alex Mackiewicz lost his life a year ago today. A mother and father lost their son. The youth of this community lost a friend. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office responded and they did their job admirably. I'm proud of our staff and the way they handled this case for prosecution. But our criminal justice system has failed this family. They will never get their son back. And on top of that, we were able to get the maximum penalty for the man that killed their son. And it will never be enough. But the penalty that he got is a slap in the face. Change is needed. Our legislature needs to pay attention. And I commend Senator John Carson for carrying this fight. March 6, 2024 is a date in Colorado that will change the course of our criminal justice system and the way that careless driving resulting in death is handled in our court system. We need to do better, and Colorado can and must do better. God bless you, Alex.
Well, first I want to thank Sheriff Weekly and all the officers in Douglas County. They've been wonderful for our community and for the family. Obviously, want to thank Victoria and Alex's father as well. The most important thing this evening is to remember Alex. Second, I think we all need to work as a community to raise the profile of this issue. We've got to prevent these type of tragedies from happening again. I've unfortunately met a lot of people now up at the Capitol. Yesterday we had Bicycles Colorado had their annual meeting at the Capitol, and I met a lot of folks there who have experienced tragedies in their families. It's difficult to believe how many folks riding bicycles, crossing the street, are either seriously injured or killed from careless driving. And we all have to do our part ourselves. I mean, I know myself, and I'm sure all of you, the more we think about and reflect upon this issue, we all need to do better to make sure that we're not contributing to this problem. And the third thing, I am going to work on legislation. I've been talking to legislators on both sides of the aisle. This is a bipartisan issue. I agree with Victoria, certainly, and the sheriff that this type of tragedy should not be a misdemeanor. It's got to be a higher level than that. So that's what I'm working on. We're going to get a bill in. We're going to have a stakeholders group of folks who are interested in this issue, and I want to make sure we get some legislation in that we can get passed and start more dialogue in the legislature on this issue. But thank you again for coming, and we'll all pray for Alex's family and for Alex and remember him and work together to prevent these tragedies in the future. Thank you.
Hi, I only met Victoria yesterday at the Capitol building for the first time. My name is Michael White. I'm the co-founder of the whiteline.org. We founded the White Line in December 2023 in honor of my son, Magnus White, U.S. cycling national champion, U.S. cycling national team member, who was killed by a reckless driver. On July 29th, 2023, we experienced the worst thing that any parent can experience. It's been close to 20 months now, and we actually go to trial in just over 3 weeks. I'll tell you briefly just a little bit about what the White Line's mission is and what we're working on, and how it all leads to accountability. Our mission is to change driver behavior through storytelling, data, and life-saving technology. So we actually have a bill in U.S. Congress right now called the Magnus White Cyclist Safety Act that requires all new vehicles in 5 years to have automatic emergency braking to detect pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, highway workers, people operating farm equipment, people riding horses. There's a whole list, but most importantly, e-bikes, e-scooters, one wheels, most importantly, to detect all range of skin tone. So encourage all of you, that's a common sense, bipartisan bill. I encourage all of you to back that with your congressman so we can get that through. The second thing that we're behind is it's a docuseries called Lives Worth Remembering. What this does is we film short documentaries about people who've lost their lives to careless and reckless drivers. Our first series was our first film was about Christian and Michelle Deaton from Portland, who were killed in Napa. Michael Shipp, a father who was killed in South Carolina. And then we recently filmed Ollie Stratton in Tinmouth. He was killed just 4 or 5 days after Magnus. And as Victoria said, their sentencing is tomorrow. That driver was found guilty. And then we just finished filming Liam Stewart's story with Josh and Cassie Stewart. And so that will be released soon. And the point of these stories is to humanize these people. They're more than just news headlines. People need to see the true loss of what killing someone with your car does. The next thing we are building is a data center. There's a lot of data out there. It's disjointed. It's not organized. We have a data science team that's actually compiling all sorts of data, national, state, local levels, crash data. But what is really most powerful about this data center is actually going to track accountability, which that data exists but is not tracked. This is the first of its kind that will do that. So we'll be able to see exactly what penalty is potential, what is actually sentenced, and what is actually served. So we can actually show these lawmakers, show the media that people are not being held accountable for killing vulnerable road users. This beta version is going to be in Colorado, and then we'll roll out nationally, but it's going to be ready in mid-April. Some initial numbers for this is very surprising. Maybe not to those who have lived it, but in Colorado, only 10 to 15% of people who kill vulnerable road users are even charged. And that's jaw-dropping. Another interesting piece of data, we did a national survey. 70% of people assume if you kill somebody with your car, it's a severe penalty. And as we see here, that's why we're all here, that is not the case. And so the last thing that we are pushing for at the White Line is accountability. When we launched the foundation in December 23, the public response was overwhelming. We received hundreds of people reaching out to us and they all shared one thing in common. Their loved ones were killed, and there was a complete lack of accountability. This is not a Colorado-specific issue. This is a national issue, but we are starting here in Colorado. And so, I'd like to thank Senator Carson for bringing this bill forward, Sheriff Weekly for speaking out. Your words were very powerful when the sentencing came down. And, I'd like to thank Clarissa and Roderick Stratton, all these parents. I'd like to thank Josh and Cassie Stewart, Terry Volvo, whose husband was killed, and Alex's parents. I never had a chance to meet Alex. The funny thing is, in all these cases, we only know the parents. We don't know the children who were killed. But we learn who these children are through this bond that we now share. I just want to say we're all united as we move forward in this to actually bring justice and accountability. So thank you.
My name is Phil Harding. I'm one of the civil attorneys. And I want to start off by apologizing to Victoria and Robert. Criminally, it was horrible. Civilly, the same thing's going to happen. Let me tell you why. When a child dies, the other side, doesn't matter how much insurance that they have, is going to only offer what's known as non-economic damages. And the reason why they do that is because they feel if there's a child, they say that it costs more to raise a kid than you will ever get back. And that's not going to happen on this case, not in this civil case. And we've filed a lawsuit on this. And we're going to push the envelope on it. And we have an economist that comes in and says, not only is there non-economic damages, but there are economic damages. And everyone here who's helping their aging parents right now, maybe paying for a cruise, maybe going over to their house, maybe helping them with money when they can't pay for something. We have an economist that's going to come in and they're going to say that Alex would have contributed at least $4.6 million to you. And let me tell you why that's important. Because here in Colorado, non-economic damages, no matter what is offered, there is a cap. And let me tell you what a cap means. First of all, everyone out there that has a child, the non-economic cap is $2.125 million this year and this year alone. The year before, it was less than half of that. It's only this one window. If you file a lawsuit this year, you can get non-economic damages of $2.125 million. And jurors never know about that. So everyone who has a kid, can you please raise your hand? Who believes that your child is worth more than $2.125 million? And I want you to lower your hand at any time that you disagree with me. Who thinks that your child is worth more than $5 million? Worth more than $10 million? Not one hand went down. And here's the problem. Jurors never know about this non-economic cap. So the trial goes on. The jury awards $10 million in pain and suffering to Victoria, to Robert. And the second that the last juror walks out that door and the door closes, defense jumps up and they say, "Caps, Judge." And this year, maybe I should feel lucky. Maybe I should feel lucky at $2.125 million. But I don't. I feel insulted at that. And that's why we are going forward and we're bringing non-economic damages of what Alex would have contributed. Alex wanted to be an engineer. What boy wants to be an engineer an engineer. And that's why we're going to be pushing the envelope on this. And I don't think we're pushing the envelope because down here in the 23rd, people know that kids have value more than just non-economic. Thank you.
Good. Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Piccolo. I'm fortunate to work at a nonprofit called Bicycle Colorado. First, Victoria, thank you for the invitation to speak, and my heart just breaks for you and your family. Some people have referred to me as a professional safety advocate or a lobbyist. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I can tell you that for the 8 years I've been working on this issue, every day I think of tragedies like Alex and Ollie and Liam and Magnus and Chuck and Gwen and Steve. I can go on. And I study like why these tragedies occur and what we can do to prevent them. And I've learned a lot. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I've learned a lot. And I want to share with you just a couple of thoughts, because to pass this law that we're talking about, it's going to take a community effort. I'm thrilled that we have a leader like Senator Carson carrying the flag, but we have to have his back. And it's important that we show up and advocate for this law. Most people in the general public don't know about the breadth of loss from traffic crashes. Most people don't know that this is a public health crisis. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic by calling it a public health crisis, let me just share with you a couple data points. From 2003 to 2024, so 21 years, in Colorado, 12,943 people inside cars and outside of cars, have died in traffic crashes. Included in that figure are 1,945 bicyclists and pedestrians. So to help you wrap your head around that number, if the past is any indication of the future, on average today, 2+ people will have died in Colorado, maybe going to school, going to work, running an errand, out for a walk, getting some exercise. And unfortunately, the trend line is moving in the wrong direction for pedestrians and bicyclists. 2023 was the deadliest year in Colorado for bicyclists and pedestrians. There were 133 pedestrians and 20 bicyclists killed in 2023. That's up from 62 20 years prior, 62 pedestrians and 3 bicyclists. And zoom out for a minute and just look at the US as a whole. From 2000 to 2020, the number one cause of death in the United States for children ages 1 to 17 is traffic crashes. It's now number 2 to gun deaths, by the way. Most people don't know this. And so part of our job is we have to shine a light on this public health crisis. People also don't know that this loss of life is preventable. And we know it's preventable because we can look at communities around the world, including here in the United States, that are making remarkable gains. Hoboken, New Jersey, they haven't had a traffic fatality in 7 years, a community of 60,000 people. Arlington, Texas, 50% reduction in fatalities. Fremont, California, 45% reduction in fatalities. Look overseas to Norway. Norway's about the size of Colorado, 5.5 million people. They had 80 fatalities last year. We have 5.8 million people, 714 fatalities last year. So I want to try to leave you a sense of hope and empowerment, because I do believe that in the midst of this tragedy, we can do some good. We've designed this system this transportation system that frankly prioritizes vehicle speed over safety. We can redesign it. We have the solutions to save lives. And one of the solutions is holding negligent drivers accountable. So I've had conversations with a wide array of people, policymakers, legislators, advocates on this topic of holding negligent drivers accountable. And typically, I'll hear something along the lines of, it was an accident. They didn't mean it. Like, why ruin another life? They didn't mean it. And I'm sharing this with you, by the way, because you should be out talking about this. And if you are, I'm guessing you're going to hear what I heard. The issue here isn't intent. It's not that they didn't mean it. The issue is that when we're behind the wheel, we make conscious choices when we drive. We glance at our screen. We eat. We groom. We may speed when we shouldn't be, or try to run that red light. These are choices we're making to put ourselves and others at risk. And so, yes, it should be a felony because there's a loss of life. And it should be a felony because we have to hold people accountable for the choices that we make. So, again, this is going to take a community. We have to show up and speak up. We have to have Senator Carson's back and other legislators who are going to be working on this. One way to do that, and this isn't a shameless plug, I'm not going to inundate you with marketing material, but you can go to bicyclecolorado.org, you search advocacy alert or legislative alert, and if you sign up, we will keep you informed of this work on this issue. And when we need you to speak up, to write, we make it really easy for you to do so. So I encourage you to do that. And I would encourage you to talk to your family and your friends about this public health epidemic and about the importance of making the right choices when we're behind the wheel.
My name is Jacob. I've never met you, but I grew up with Alex. I went to elementary school with him, some of you elementary, and I moved to middle school with him. The day that Alex was hit, some of the students at Mountain Ridge posted on Instagram or on other platforms to wear blue the next day to remember Alex. And so many people did. I'd say half the school showed up in blue pants, blue shirts, just anything blue. Also that morning, one of our students decided to hold a prayer session for the family and for the community to remember Alex in a thoughtful and mindful way.
I want to thank Victoria for the opportunity to speak tonight. We have just recently come to know each other over the last few months, and sadly, it's related to the things we have in common, which Michael White also spoke with. There's a commonality here, and that common denominator is loss of life, loss of a loved one, all related to the carelessness and negligence of a motorist. I stand in solidarity with Victoria, her family, and all the other dignitaries that you've heard speak tonight to honor Alex and his memory. A bright light extinguished way too soon. Sadly, there's many in the audience tonight who may have suffered the same loss. And our thoughts go to you. And every loss is equally as tragic, equally as important. Each statistic that is mentioned to you, like Pete Piccolo mentioned, is a story. It's a family. It's someone who didn't come home at the end of a day. And a family that suffers their loss for the rest of their lives. We talk about a class 1 misdemeanor. in relation to a Class 6 felony. People are concerned about how long someone may have to go to prison for the choices that they made. We're the ones serving a life sentence. We're here without our loved one, and we suffer that life sentence every day for the rest of our lives. For some reason, society has normalized that these deaths happen. They're quote unquote accidents. And oh, these things just happen. This is not normal. The majority of these, as you have heard, a majority of these crashes and deaths are in fact preventable. We need to change that misconception. We need to speak up and show our support for a system that's broken and that is failing these families and victimizing the victims once again with these simple punishments, and for not holding these individuals accountability for the choices that they did in fact make. I want to also say that whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, whether you're working at a construction site, a road worker, a skateboarder, a jogger, anytime you are outside of a vehicle, you are considered vulnerable. And vulnerable road users need to be respected, and drivers need to take responsibility when behind the wheel of a car. So as we move forward to try to see these criminal acts defined both by category and by definition in Colorado law, there's one thing that I think everybody agrees with, and you'll get no arguments, that everybody deserves to get home safely. And the change begins with us.
If nobody else wants to speak, I will close this vigil with one of my favorite songs as well. Anybody? Thank you, everybody. It's getting late and it's getting cold. So I know that Alex wouldn't like you to stay here and get sick. I know it's a good excuse to skip school, but let's don't do that, okay? I mean, last year after he was killed, a couple days later, he sent you some snowstorm to skip school, but let's don't call in sick tomorrow, okay? Thank you. So I would like to say thank you, everybody, and close this evening with a song by Scorpions, Send Me an Angel.